Hello friends, and welcome to another video, and welcome to my reseller wrap-up for the year 2022. My name is Veronica. If you're new here, hi, I'm a part-time reseller and I mostly sell women's pre-owned fashion on Poshmark and eBay and Mercari and sometimes Depop. And I've been doing this for the past 3 years now. I started at the very end of 2019, and then at the very end of 2020 I actually started my YouTube channel. So it is kind of my 3-year reselling anniversary and also my 2-year YouTube anniversary. And what I wanted to do this year, instead of Vlogmas and putting myself through all of that, I wanted to film 5 short wrap-up videos where we're going to recap my year in reselling very briefly. We're going to talk about brands, we're going to talk about best sales, we're going to talk about naughty and nice lists, and all kinds of fun stuff. We're also going to talk about ThredUp, because ThredUp is a big part of my business and a big part of my YouTube channel, and so I will recap that as well, how that relationship has been going in 2022, and then we'll also talk about my plans and just my thoughts about my reselling business going into 2023. So if you're interested in that, please do stick around, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and also that bell notification so you will notified whenever I post a new video. Again, for the next 5 days, I will post a video every day to wrap up the year and recap the year 2022. Let's get started. So in this first video, we're going to talk about brands, specifically my brand wish list, brands I'm hoping to find in 2023, brands I'm maybe hoping to find again, and we're also going to take a look back at a similar video I did last year, and I will link it above if you're interested, where I talked about brands I wanted to find, brands I was hoping to find again, and we're going to recap and see how successful I was with that. So without further ado, let's jump right in. Now, I want to start by going over the brands I would like to find in 2023. Those are all brands I've never found before, never sold before, never received from anywhere, not in a ThredUp box or elsewhere. So these are brands on my wish list, and you know, I could put like really super duper high-end designer brands on there. And I will say some of these are probably more realistic to find than others, but we're hopeful and we're like manifesting. I guess I hate the whole manifesting thing, but when it comes to brands and putting it out there into the universe, let's just try and do that. So these are not in any particular order. I'm just going to go over them, and I'm going to focus on 5 brands I would like to find in 2023, and then I will also talk about the 5 brands I mentioned in last year's video, and we'll see if I found them or not, and also talk about brands I was hoping to find again this year, see if that happened. And then as a little bonus, I have a little section that I'm calling brands I found for the first time, but they were not on my wish list, but they probably should have been. So that's going to be what we're doing today. Okay, the first brand I have on my list, and this is lofty. I know that. I will likely never find this brand in the wild, but never say never, right? It's a brand that I heard about from Jack and Ryan, specifically from Jack Valentine here on YouTube. He has sourced this brand before. I believe he's found it in the wild. It is very, very, very expensive and has a very good resale value. And the brand is called Agua Bendita. And I think I'm saying this right. From what I have seen, they make very, very beautiful, lavish dresses, kind of like Free People on Crack, and more expensive. So I would absolutely love to find a dress like that. It doesn't, have to be at the bins or anything. I will pay up for it at the thrift. I will pay up for it at consignment. Honestly, I just never go there. So given where, just my area and where I normally source, I think the likelihood of me finding this brand in the wild is very, very low, but we can still hope. I mean, I'd be game for sourcing it online on ThredUp, but as long as they know what they have, it's probably going to be very, very expensive to do so. The next brand I would like to find, and I believe it's a little bit more outdoorsy, activewear brand, so very different from the other one, is Aviator Nation. I've never found this brand. I honestly need to study up on the logo and the pieces that, this brand makes. But I would really like to find it. I've heard a lot of resellers talk about it and talk about how well it does for them. So it's kind of on my list up there. When I think of brands I would like to find, they just randomly pop into my head because I hear somebody talk about them. I'm like, oh, I would like to find that. The next brand I would like to find, and I've heard about it primarily from Becky Park, is Magnolia Pearl. And I think Magnolia Pearl makes mostly like Lagenlooky things, but is very, very desirable, sells really well, does really well on the resale market, and is you know, expensive. And honestly, a lot of these brands, it's more a question of how much money can these make me, rather than, oh, I would like to find this because they have such cool designs or anything like that. Because let me tell you, reselling has been rough, and we'll talk about that in another video. But in 2023, reselling has been really rough for me, and I have not made what I wanted to make, not by a long shot. So I would like to find brands and pieces that will sell relatively quickly and for a good amount of money, and that's kind of how this wish list is motivated. Another brand I would absolutely like to find, it's an outdoor brand and it's very expensive, is Canada Goose. They make these like thick, really good solid winter jackets and coats, and gosh, I would really love to find one. I would hate to ship it, but hey, if you can sell one of those jackets for several $100s, I will throw in the shipping and I will just put up with it, because it's a great brand. It's a great brand for reselling. I've seen people find it. I've seen my friend Kay find it in a ThredUp box, and it's... I just really would love to find Canada Goose. Is it likely that I'll find it around here? Not so much, but hey, a girl can dream. Okay, and that leaves us with one more brand that I put on my list. This is kind of random. It just popped into my head again. And it's not, I don't think it's as good in terms of resale value as the other ones on this list, but it's still on my list because I've never found it. So the brand is For Love and Lemons, and I have seen their pieces. They're very pretty, very beautiful. So from an aesthetic standpoint, I would also like to find this brand, and it does still fairly well from what I can tell on the resale market. So I would just like to check that off my list. You know, it's one of those. Okay, now let's talk about brands from last year's list. So my 5 brands that I wanted to find in 2022, and let's see if I found them or not. So the first brand on my list was Mother, and Mother jeans are still on my wish list. I have not found them in 2022. I hope I will find them in 2023. I really hope I will. I know their resale value has gone down, but it's just, you know, it's like that one brand that you have not checked off your list yet and you really want to. So I'm really hoping I will find Mother denim in 2023. Kind of along the same lines, even though I currently have a piece by this brand in my closet, but it's retail arbitrage, online sourcing, and I haven't actually found it in the wild yet. But from last year's list, Girlfriend Denim, and that's girlfriend without any of the vowels. Girlfriend Denim also does not do that well anymore, I think, but it was on my list last year and I haven't found it, but I did source it through online liquidation. I can link that video up here. And I currently have one pair of Girlfriend Denim jeans listed in my closet, but I would just like to find it in the wild, just so I can say I have. Another brand that I almost found, I just missed out on it by a few seconds, if you will, and I talked about that in last year's video, is Teeks, and I've never found Teeks since, and I've never sold it, I've never picked it up. I've never sourced them from anywhere else. I haven't found them in a ThredUp box. I've never had Teeks in my inventory, and I would really like to. Another brand that I wanted to find and haven't found again, and this brand was only on the list last year because I had found a piece that I thought was real, but it was not, it was a fake, and I picked it up, but then realized, nope, it's fake anyway. The only reason that brand is on the list is because of that story, but the brand is Off-White, and it's a kind of streetwear designer brand. I talked about it in last year's video, and I still haven't found it again, but we'll keep trying. And then one more brand that I've not found in the wild, but also sourced from an online liquidation site and sold quickly and well, is Veronica Beard. I sourced a very plain t-shirt from this liquidation site, paid up for it, but also sold for a decent amount of money given that it's just a plain white t-shirt. So I have sourced it and sold it, but I've never found Veronica Beard in the wild. Again, I think it's unlikely that I will, but fingers crossed. Last year I also talked about brands I wanted to find again because I found them once before. So one of those brands was Rothy's. I found Rothy's in the previous year. I'd also sold a pair for consignment from a friend. And this year I didn't find Rothy's in the wild, but I pulled them out of a ThredUp box very recently, and you can check out that video up here. I haven't listed them yet. I'm super behind on photographing and listing, but I will list them soon, and I'm pretty confident they're going to do well because from what I could see, they're discontinued colors. So if you're in the market for cherry red Rothy's in a size 8.5, you let me know. Another brand I wanted to find again is Johnny Was, and I kind of did and didn't. I didn't find actual Johnny Was, but I found one of his diffusion lines, I guess. I found a pair of Pete and Greta. I think it's Pete. Pete. I think it's Pete. Pete and Greta joggers at Dollar Day, and they were not marked down, but I picked them up anyway because, you know, Johnny was. They're still in my closet. I have them priced, I think, reasonably for what they are and, you know, the brand and such, but I think they're a smaller size. So I have not sold them yet, but I've technically found Johnny Was again, just not one of the, you know, actual Johnny Was embroidered beautiful pieces. Still hoping to find one of those again. Another brand on my list from last year of brands I wanted to find again, American Giant, and I did find American Giant again, and they sold really fast. These very plain sweatpants, joggers. They make such plain clothing, but it's good quality. It's made in the USA. They have a whole story that people relate to and like. So American Giant does really well, even though the pieces are very plain. Two more brands. One, Good American. I have found Good American, I think, several times since moving to New Jersey, or found again, I should say. So I've checked that brand off my list. I'm excited to find it still whenever I do, but it's a brand I find a little more frequently, I would say now, whereas last year it was this like elusive holy grail that I only found once at a consignment store. So Good American, I currently have a pair in my closet that's just sitting, so we'll see how that one performs for me next year. And then one brand that I had on the list that I wanted to find again from last year that I have not found again in the wild, unfortunately, Doc Martens. Have not gotten any Doc Martens in all year this year. Now, I will say I'm not sourcing as much as I used to in terms of going to the bins or going to the thrift store, and I found really good stuff this year, which I will talk about in a second. But yeah, I have a lot less opportunity to find brands in the wild, so I'm honestly not surprised that I haven't found Doc Martens again, because again, opportunity and, you know, being able to go to all the places all the time, I don't have that anymore. So yeah, it's been different, but I'm hopeful that I will find and sell Doc Martens again. Maybe I'll get them in a ThredUp box, who knows. Now, this next little segment, again, this is all about brands today. Brands I found for the first time that were not necessarily on the list I shared last year, but they were on some list in the back of my mind. I found Allbirds for the first time at the bins and currently have those listed in my closet. I found Helmut Lang for the first time in my Virginia Honey Hole when I went back, and new with tags, little mini skirt. Very basic, still listed in my closet, so we'll see how that does. I found Sandro Paris at the bins, sold that for a really good amount of money, was very happy about that. I also found Untuckit for the first time at Dollar Day, sold that relatively quickly, was happy with that. I found Prada for the first time. Prada heels. And I may have found them in 2021, like at the very end of 2021, and just listed them in 2022. I don't remember exactly, or it was at the very, very beginning of 2022. But I found Prada, I sold Prada, and I'm excited for that. I also found Outdoor Voices for the first time at Dollar Day, sold that relatively quickly, happy with that. I found APL Sneakers for the first time in the wild. Was not really looking for them. It's a brand I don't hear a lot of people talk about either, but you should be looking for them because they do really well. I currently have another pair listed that I sourced from ThredUp that ThredUp had in their assorted brands category, so get in on that while you still can, because once ThredUp figures out what they are, they're going to price them up. I quote-unquote found Missoni for the first time in a Goodwill Blue Box, out of all places. I will link that video up here. It was a live. I did a live unboxing and I found frickin' Missoni in my Goodwill Blue Box. That was pretty fantastic. That sold within a day of listing and did pretty well. And then I also found a Dress the Population dress at the bins. Still have it. It's just a very plain black sort of like mermaid shaped dress. It's pretty. It's very basic, but it's pretty. So we'll see how that does because I still have it listed. And then there are a few brands that I kind of discovered because they came to me or I pulled them out of the bins because they looked nice and didn't know they existed, didn't know they would do so well. So I decided I want to share those. The first one, I think people do know about this brand. I just didn't. But when I saw the label, I thought, oh, I think this is kind of good. I found a Lisa Todd, I don't know. Lisa Todd, I think it's Lisa. Lisa Todd sweater at the bins. Very soft, very nice. Had some good mixture of wool or Angora or something like that. Very cute. That sold relatively quickly for a good amount of money, like 35, 40 bucks or so, which for a bins find I think is good. Like most of my sales sell in that $15 to $20 range, so 40 is good for me. Another brand I discovered, and I have not heard anyone talk about it besides myself, and I found it twice at the bins, and both times these pieces sold one time within an hour, and then one time within a day of listing, less than a day of listing, full price. The brand is Be Present. I will insert a picture of the logo right here. And they make like yoga wear, and they usually have like an embroidery element to them. So random. The tag is so unassuming, but both times I've sold this brand for full price. One's on eBay, one's on Mercari, in that $35, $40 range right away. And I don't know what to tell you. I would love to find it again. So I'm hoping there's somebody in this area that just likes to wear this brand and donate it, and then it ends up in the bins and nobody knows what it is, and I'll just scoop it up because it's a quick flip and it sells for good money. I really like selling this brand. Don't know much about it besides, you know, what I've told you. I don't know if it's discontinued maybe, but it's a quick seller. Another brand that I've discovered is Dona Joe. I think they make mostly like athletic skirts, like running skirts and such. I don't remember where I got that. I think I may have gotten it at Dollar Day. I don't think I pulled it out of the bins. I found this very colorful, like running skirt, tennis skirt, whatever you want to call it. Really good condition, and that sold relatively quickly for a good amount too. Also kind of discovered, quote unquote, Psycho Bunny. I had 2 pieces in a Goodwill Blue box, and I wasn't really sure if it was good or not. I thought it was good at first, and I checked comps and was like, maybe it's not so good. But for me, it actually did really well. Sold fast, sold for a good amount of money. So Psycho Bunny has this little like bunny embroidery logo. What can I say? Would like to find it again too. Another brand I don't know how to pronounce, but I found these shoes at the Virginia Beach bins when I went there, right after they opened. The brand is called ePath, I don't know, iPath, I think. And it has this like bull logo. Men's shoes did really well for me. They were in good shape, and they're expensive, and they sold really fast, and they sold for a good amount. Another brand I discovered by sourcing the ThreadUp outlet and just trying it out because I was looking at pieces that were new with tags and then, you know, comping those pieces to see how they would do, is the brand Ricky Rum, and it's a bikini brand, and I think they only release like a very limited amount of pieces and, you know, just like 2 collections or so a year. I don't know. It was a reversible bikini, and I sourced it from ThreadUp. I probably had about $12 into it, both pieces combined, and I sold it for $50 on a Poshmark, I think. New with tags, so that certainly helps. It was reversible, it was really cute, but very skimpy, like cheeky. But yeah, I would like to find that again. And then a brand I found also in a Goodwill Blue box. It was new with tags, and it was this beautiful gown that from what I can tell, women like to wear these, especially this brand, for like photo shoots, like engagement shoots, maternity shoots, etc. And it's also a good brand for like bridesmaid dresses, prom dresses. The brand is called Baltic Born, and that piece did really, really well for me as well. And I got it again in a blue box. So random. They probably didn't know what they had. I didn't know what I had right away, but really good piece. I think that one came in one of those 10 for 10 or whatever thrifty box it's called now. So my cost of goods was really low on that one. And then the last brand I kind of discovered, I wasn't really aware it existed, even though now I think about it, I feel like I've heard the name before. I just, maybe not. Also came in a rescue box, in the ThreadUp Fun box, I believe. The brand is Wolford, or Wolford, as I would say in German. It's an Austrian brand, I believe. And they make tights, like fishnets and such. And I got 2 pairs in a ThreadUp Fun box, and both did fairly well for, you know, what they are. I think they retail in that $40 range, and I got, I want to say 20 a piece. So that was pretty good. I was happy with that. Okay guys, that wraps up my first reseller recap video. I will film another one right after this, so if you see me wearing the same stuff, that's just how it's gonna be for the next 5 days. So thank you for joining me on this little brand recap. In my next video, we're gonna talk about my best sales of 2022, which brands / pieces did really well for me, and how much I sold them for. And yeah, we're also gonna talk a little bit about sales overall in the year 2022. Spoiler alert, it's gonna get a little depressing. I look forward to seeing you guys back here again tomorrow for another reseller recap video. I hope you'll join me for the rest of the week for these. And this time, cheers!